K9 was first in Doctor Who, which in a Tom Baker story. And how did you come to? How did K9 come to be created? What was the function of it in the story?
Well, we were doing a story called The Invisible Enemy, which was based on a kind of hospital hollowed out of an asteroid, and there was a guy from Earth called Professor Marius, who, I'm not speaking the right way, obviously. Okay, can you hear me now? It's going down my throat in a minute. Anyway, so we sort of thought about the character and the kind of character he was, and we thought, well, we think on Earth he would have had a dog, and so we gave him a dog, which he made himself, to take to this lonely asteroid where he could do his researches. So that's basically what it was.
And I guess, was this before or after Star Wars? Because there was quite a little bit of a vogue for cute kind of robot sidekicks.
There had been a couple about. There was one in the American series. I forgot his name. Buck Rogers. Treaty. Yeah. That sort of character. But there was also a dog somewhere. I can't remember.
Battlestar Galactica. Battlestar Galactica.
Muffet the Dagger.
Yes, that's right. But I think I hadn't really. We didn't have those in mind when we created K9. It certainly was a kind of character who could not only help Professor Marius with his work, because he was a computer as well as being a kind of guard dog. The other story which I peddled around is that my partner then, the late Dave Martin, had a fantastic pedigree spanning, and unfortunately he got run over. And I always felt that Dave pushed to have this character in, just kind of have a sort of indestructible dog.
That was his way of dealing with bereavement.
Yes, his bereavement, yes.
And how quickly did it become apparent that K9 was going to be quite a phenomenon?
I think we've written maybe 3 episodes of the story, and we're about to go on to the 4th episode when the then script editor Bob Holmes rang us up and said, hey, they like this character, this dog, and we're thinking of maybe giving it in. And so we did the dance around the office and said, thank you very much. And we didn't know how or why or what or anything. We'd seen, we described what K9 should look like, and then a few drawings came back, and then another couple of drawings, and we said, well, we're happy with that, that's fine. And so K9 was born. And
there was a spin-off series before, or an attempt at a spin-off series, wasn't there? I think there was 83 or
there was
around then.
What I call an illegitimate child of K9. I won't say the other word, but it was decided by the producers that they would like to do a spin-off series of K9, and it was called K9 and Company. And we thought, and we had the feeling that the BBC wanted to get rid of K9. And I thought, well, if they wanted to get rid of it, that's the best way to do it. They made the most awful film I've ever seen. And we weren't even asked to even read the script or anything, they just did it.
Was that a kind of one of those situations where the BBC just, when you're writing for the BBC, they just kind of take all the...
Yeah, well, they just said, well, we're going to do it, and we said, well, can't we write it? They said, oh, no, it's already written, all that sort of thing. And so it was all taken away from us, but when we saw it, we think, thank God we weren't involved.
And so, I mean, have you made several attempts over the years to make a K9 series, or is it just something that's been in the pipeline for the last few years?
Once I'd finished, I did the last one, which is called Nightmare of Eden. I did it in 1980. It's coming out this year on DVD. And I thought, well, that's it, it's finished now, but I won't be working with Doctor Who anymore. I did a few science fiction series with HTV and that sort of thing. But I mean, I never thought about doing anything with K9 until Paul rang me up. What, 1997 said, how do you fancy doing a K9 series, And I thought, oh, Doctor Who's all finished, it's all gone and everything. But then I thought about it more, I thought, why not? And after we talked about how it would be upgraded and updated and changed, regenerated in fact, then I began to get quite excited about it. So we got the idea of a sort of Bible together, and Paul did a little cartoon, what was it? No, it was CGI.
I did a short CGI show reel.
Show reel.
Is this on?
I think you've got to be quite close.
Yeah. And we've got Tom Baker.
So we've got Tom Baker to do the voiceover, so all the fans started saying Tom was going to be the new voice of K9.
Yeah.
Kept it sort of used, but we
couldn't
went to the
afford it.
BBC with it the first couple of times, and they liked it, but they said Doctor Who's dead, we'll never bring it back.
Yeah.
Back in '98.
We kept at it
We
over
kept
the
at it.
years, and finally we got some sort of response from Disney UK, Buena Vista, and we thought, wow, this is great. They're going to make it, you know. And but then the producer rang us up and said, could you make them quarter of an hours? And we said, yeah, just about, yes. And then she rang later again and said, could you make 3-minute interstitials? I said, no, we cannot. That was the end.
They wanted K9 to be the pet of a family of space vets stuck on an asteroid.
Yes.
He said no.
Yes, yes.
Can I just say, this is the main monster in the K9 series, the Corvo. The chap's getting rather hot, so I just want to introduce him, and you'll see an episode, we'll go show episode 26 after we've finished talking, which is called Eclipse of the Corvo, and it's the finale of season 1. So I just thought I'd introduce you to him, so he can go off and take his mask off.
Is it hot in there?
I think he's getting...
You can thumbs up, Corvo.
I think he'll be needing CPR or something afterwards, so thanks a lot for that.
You can't do it. You can't.
No,
He's going to be guided over the wires. But thanks a lot for that.
So, 97 was when you first spoke to Bob about it. It's been quite a long road then. Were you working on it on and off or over the years, or was it?
Well, we had,
something
like
that kind
Bob
of-
said, we had to deal with Buena Vista, which is the Disney distribution arm, back about 91. And that lasted about 18 months. And when that deal came to an end, we got out of it, as Bob explained, they wanted to take it in a direction we didn't want to. We then found a sales agent who started pitching it to different people for us. We went to the Children's BBC, and they loved it, and they wanted it, but the head of Disney UK swapped jobs with the woman who was head of Children's BBC, and she was an American, no offence. So she couldn't get her head around Doctor Who or robot dogs or anything, and said science fiction's too expensive to make. So, and they were going to be making a series with a live action dog, which I don't think ever actually happened.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You
so
just said
all these people in the BBC were really excited about doing our K9 show, as it stood at the time. And then it didn't happen. Then 2 years later, Russell T Davies brought Doctor Who back.
Yeah.
Yes, just as we thought.
So it's never been a case of we've jumped on Doctor Who bandwagon. We were pitching for this long before that happened.
But that must have been a big fillip in your, efforts to try and...
Especially when they approached Bob about using K9 in the David Tennant episode.
It's the old one, of course.
Has it surprised you how much that kids today are still taken to K9? Because I know when that was first announced, there was like amongst the kind of older grizzled Doctor Who fans like myself, there was a little bit of, well, this, I loved K9 when I was 8 or whatever. But our kids today, are they too sophisticated for that? But it really took off, didn't it?
Yeah, well, I was surprised and delighted, and it suddenly got the whole thing going, but adults seem to like it as well, which is tremendous news. So that you have kids as well, and so our series coming on at this time was around about right. Such a pity that the BBC didn't take it, but I mean they refused us 3 times, and so we thought we can't go back again. And so eventually we raised money abroad, and when you do that, then you have to sort of take on those responsibilities which come from raising foreign money. You have to use foreign personnel on the thing, and we got the money from Australia, and so we used a lot of Australian people, writers, actors, directors, and they were all fantastic.
The lead of the show, a guy called Robert Maloney, plays Professor Griffin. If any of you have seen him or not, he's Canadian in Vancouver, and he's been in X-Files and 4400 and Stargate, loads and loads of shows like that. So it's quite a familiar face to sci-fi fans.
And the series is, although it's made in Australia, it's set in a futuristic Britain.
Well, that was the joke of it, because
Yes.
we got American money from Disney, we got Australian money from Channel 10, and private investment money as well. And and they all insisted, well, we want to make it like it's based in a futuristic London, but we're filming it in Brisbane.
Yeah.
Which we didn't mind being filming in Brisbane because it's nice and warm there.
Yeah.
Not wet like it is down there now.
Yeah.
But we're hoping that they'll clean up Brisbane before we go down to the Series 2 later this year.
So is it a bit of a challenge making Australia look like London?
Well, they tried too hard. You don't need to. You just shoot wherever you are, and you just say, this is London. And you know, buildings are buildings are buildings, you know. And there's lots of skyscrapers in Brisbane, and there's lots of skyscrapers in London. I mean, you don't get the sort of dark, cobbled streets, but, you know, you don't need those all the time. And we had this set.
Glass building, in fact, isn't it?
Yeah.
Everywhere's got glass buildings. If you look at, well, I've been watching Primeval recently on TV, the first few episodes of that, everything's been in streets with glass buildings. It could be anywhere. It could be America, over here, wherever.
And obviously, with a new look K9, yeah. Was that always your intention to give him a redesign? And was that a bit of a risk? Were people worried about that? Because the original design is such a kind of iconic image.
Well, if you look at it, it's actually got the same silhouette, it's got the same shape. Disney wanted him to change him completely so he could have like ferocious metal teeth and walk on four legs. But we said no, he's got to keep the shape. But when you're dealing with CGI and you're dealing with having the character as the lead character, you've got to have it quite more manipulable than something that just moves on the floor. So, and also because of a young cast, he has to be in perspective size-wise, which is why when people see him, oh, he's quite small. But you know, he packs quite a powerful cannon.
A lot of the reason for it as well was when Tom and other doctors were working, they either had to kneel down or lie down to talk to the old K9. And I always thought, oh, that's not a bit number, because Tom hated it. He just absolutely loathed and detested that bloody dog again, you know. And then, actually, amazingly enough, when we originally wrote that episode, he did actually float, but they couldn't do that, so they had to use the old mechanical setup. But this seemed a chance now to do exactly what we wanted to do in the very beginning, to make him float or fly. But now he can come in to the shop at that level, so that people just turn and talk to him, which it makes it so much better as a character, because he can join in with everybody else. They don't have to stop what they're doing, kneel down or lie down or look down to talk to him. And he is the star.
And the old series, there was always, everybody had a horror story, and they still do. I've been on set for Sarah Jane says, and they still have horror stories about the radio control and the K9,
Yes.
and him bumping into doors and the camera.
Knocking sets down. I think that's apocryphal, actually. I don't think they do quite so often. I mean, maybe the first one, which was very heavy and very badly constructed, with just that sort of go, or so 20 miles an hour or nothing, you know, so bang. So, anyway, so we've solved that problem with CGI as things moved on in technology. You know, we've solved the problem, and we've made a character who's much more sort of light and enjoyable, who can get involved in conversations.
We used the old one in episode 1 for it to regenerate.
Is that a reproduction, or is it the same?
It's the body is from the original BBC molds, and the head was sculpted over there. And when we filmed that one scene, it did break down a couple of times. There was actually one shot where he's shooting the Jixon monsters, and you can see the lights flashing on his back, and one light's just going on and off, and the others are flashing, you know, randomly, but not quite in the sequence they should have done. So you have to be sort of technical to spot these things, but it's just typical that if you set something up, it works fine, and then when you film it doesn't.
And you've got the same voice actor involved, John Leeson.
Yes, we had a bit of a struggle there. Australians were quite adamant about having an Australian voice, and we said, no, it's got to be John Leeson.
They wanted a little known actor who was working in the West End at the time, called Jason Donovan.
Never heard of it.
No.
And then it was suggested that we got this out-of-work singer who's now rejoined his old boy band called Robbie Williams, and we said no to that as well. Can you imagine Robbie Williams being the voice again?
But there is a little in-joke, I guess, to that in the first episode. Because when he regenerates, doesn't he say, "G'day, mate," in Australian voice?
We get John to do that. G'day, mate, and then bonjour. And, does an American.
And he seems a little, I mean, the voice is the same, but he seems a little bit more kind of with it and a little bit more sassy.
Well, that's intentional. I mean,
Yeah.
he's supposed to be, he's a lead character. We can't have him just say affirmative, negative all the time and answer questions, scientific questions. He's got to be a character. He's got to be in the role of the lead character who drives the story. You know, so he's got to have much bigger vocabulary, much more bigger sense of humour, and you know, to be able to sort of get involved in everything. You know,
He still sulks and does
Yeah.
some of the old K9 mannerisms. And also, you can hear, I mean, John was happy when we said to him we wanted to change the voice, because he was like, he was feeling he was getting a bit long in the tooth, doing it high up there. You know? So we got to take it down a few tones.
so we want it in B flat.
Okay, well, does anyone have any questions?